Thank you, Emma. Mary Paola is the daughter of Kimberly and Michael Frazier and Michael Paola. She was born and raised in the town of Bar Harbor, where she first developed an interest in performing and creating. Mary further explored her love for theater, performance art, digital media, and visual art at MDI HS and with MDI Drama, earning accolades locally and statewide. She will return for a second season at Acadia Repertory Theater this summer and will be pursuing a BFA in acting in the Conservatory of Theater Arts at Purchase College this fall. Mary Paola.
Hello. So, I don't have this written down, but I just want to get this out of the way. I have a We Love Teachers water bottle with me today. So, if you're worried about this, it's going to be fine. That's all I'm going to say about that, though. The rest is for you guys, and that's, I think, the way that I want it to be. So, first of all, and most important of all, congratulations. Even though this is maybe the 50th time you've heard that, I think it's worth it in my book. I know some of us are sad about leaving, or at least find the idea difficult, maybe, after 4 or more years here. And I also know that a lot of us are more than ready to get going. I know that it varies, and I think that's just fine. Any way you slice it, this accomplishment is not to be underrated. Whatever it took to get you where you're sitting right now is not to be underrated. And I don't know if we're all proud, but I sincerely hope we are. I'm Mary Paola, for anyone who doesn't know me, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here. And now all of that said, whether or not you know me, one thing you may not know about me is that I don't know anything. At least not enough to be on a mic right now over any one of you, over anyone at all. I've wanted to stand here for a long time, but all I have on my own is one perspective and one experience, and that doesn't extend beyond age 17. The idea that I or any one of us could represent the student body is pretty far-fetched, which is a good thing. So I don't have words of wisdom. I don't have advice, because I haven't been any farther than any of you. All I have for us and for myself right now is hopes. And I'll get back to mine later, but first I wanted to find out what we had going on as a class. I wanted to know what you want. I wanted to find out what you want for yourselves or for all of us, and I think that as a whole is much more telling and maybe even more valuable than what any one of us could say on our own. So I didn't ask for advice, but I asked for some of your hopes. Now, some of you have a pretty sharp focus already. Some of you wanted to get a book published. I actually heard that 2 or 3 times. Or you wanted to start a business on the island, or folks are looking at where they want to get their graduate degrees already, or where somewhere across the country they want to just go right now and live. People hoped, or I should say they hope, that we pay attention to the needs of and the opportunities available in whatever community we end up in, whether that be way out somewhere or here at home. A lot of hopes for success, too. I heard that word a lot when I was asking you guys, but not in the way that you might think. I heard hopes for success on our own terms. Hopes that we won't necessarily buy into what we've all been told success is and what success is supposed to be. Hopes that we define it individually by paying attention to our own needs and our own desires, and hopes that we won't be controlled by whatever that idea may be. Many of you hope for health and for safety for us and for the world we live in, hopes that we can protect that world. Some of you desperately want to travel that world. Some want to taste, and some know already that this is their home and they're in it for the long run. I heard a hope that we listen to each other and those we meet outside of this place and really listen. And beyond that, listen carefully to ourselves, to be honest with ourselves about what we want and what might make us happy. And if we don't know that yet, that we be honest about that too, and especially that. I also cheated in this whole process, and I asked a teacher. His hope was that we be open-minded, and just in the ways that he's seen here. And in the instances where it's hard to do that we be kind. I found a lot of wishes like that. To be nice, and maybe do some good, however small that good is. To be good people, whatever that means. To not be selfish. Then I heard another one, to be selfish. And then I heard another one, to selfish. I'm just kidding, I didn't, but I wish I did. One of the last ones I received was, I hope my classmates won't let high school be their best years. Another hope that we can celebrate our differences anywhere we end up. And one more, I really dig this one. I hope we won't let fear of the unknown keep us from what could be. And that's kind of a tough one for me, because I can get behind that, but it's hard to think about. I want to believe that these have been defining years, but at the same time that they do not define us as individuals, and I guess that's kind of tricky. I mean, don't get me wrong, I just think we should decide what to keep. You know, important stuff. We've learned about ourselves and relationships with others, and I guess the concrete stuff that we've got graded on. I think this is the time to pick and choose and toss out and clean up, and I hope we have more times just like it. I'm not the one to tell you how to sort those piles, and I guess that's the thrilling part. No one is. Whether or not you like thrillers, I haven't figured that out myself, because my hopes sometimes blend with my worries and my fears. And it's pretty easy to say, haha, hey, take what you want from the world, and it's another thing to do it. It's a whole other thing to sort out those piles of you, to present you. So those are the hopes that I got from my senior class, and to get my hopes out, I've got to talk about art, so I'm very sorry in advance for that. I've talked about this a little over the years, but not so much with words as with bubbles. Bathtubs and bubbles. You might have seen me playing with those images in my works within the last couple of years. I've tried a lot of media, and I always come back to bathtubs and bubbles. It's kind of about fear sometimes. Sometimes peace, loneliness, and especially honesty and dishonesty. And the relationship between these two symbols, the bathtubs and the bubbles, that changes for me all the time. For one, I think bathtubs are for sitting, for being, and that's where you find peace, and sometimes that's where you find power. But the issue is, if you take too long in there, they're for loneliness, and they're for fear, and they're for dishonesty, and they're for hiding. I've said before, and stay with me on this one, that I consider a bathtub to be more like a bubble than a bubble is like a bubble, because you think of bubbles like shells. You're trapped in bubbles. They close you off, they shut you in. But bubbles have personality. They're funny, they've got colors and drips and curves, and they pop. Sometimes it's too honest when they pop, but I think that's what they're here for. Bubbles come out of people, which is usually fine. That's what's supposed to happen. They also come out of soap and heat, but the important thing is that they come out of bathtubs. And bubbles are shiny too, along with all that other stuff, so they're for self-reflection. My hope, and I'm hoping this for me too, is that we can all develop that skill to reflect, to tell each other the truth, to tell ourselves the truth, to do our best to understand ourselves, and definitely to let that understanding burst sometimes, to let it pop. That's what I want out of my life. That's what I'm into. I want to be able to stay true and to let things change around me and about me, and that's a very difficult balance to find. I hope we can change ourselves when we find some edits we want to make, bubbles that we want to pop, or let be. Regardless, I hope that all of us can fit as many bubbles into our baths as possible, whether we're here or there or anywhere or everywhere. I hope we make the room. I hope we make the peace, make the power, make it open. Soak it in, let it go. And one more thing from one of my favorite poets, Lenore Candell, to find wherever that is. Home is where you find it. Find is where you home it. It is where you... End quote. Thank you, MDI. I'll see you out there.